What you're going to want to do now is you're just going to do a very cursory fold and see where we are. Okay. Again, remembering we're going to have that welt in there, and we're also going to wet this, because we're going to do a little bit of wet forming to go along with this. Measure this. I know I cut that a little bit big. Okay, you can see how our welt is going to fit in there. Okay, so now this is where we're going to start. We're going to do our gluing. This tear mender adhesive is very, very good for leather. Okay, it's non-toxic and cleans up with water. All you have to do is shake it up before use and use it on both sides of the item that we're going to glue. So what I want to do now is I want to take this and I want to do one side of my sheath. Now we're going to clamp this. We're back with that, and like I said, I got more clamps, and we have this now clamped. Now we're going to let it sit and dry overnight. Okay guys, I wanted to show you something, and I like to keep everything real, and that includes my mistakes. This is what I didn't take into consideration. When I actually made this drawing for the pattern, I had to come up the exact edge of the blade of the hatchet itself. Problem is when you go like this and you fold this over, if that was to be sewn right there, I can't put the head of the axe or the hatchet inside there. So what I should have done was I should have had that pattern come straight out this way, and then it would have given me more room to slide the axe in. All I've done is I've just removed some of the welt, and the nice thing about the tear mender is that this is not dry, but it's dry enough that it'll hold in place. Now I'm just going to go ahead and glue that and put it together with the clamps, and then we'll definitely hold on to this until the morning, and then we can get going on this again. But I wanted to show you that that's something that you need to be aware of too. When you slide that mask on, you need to have enough space in there. Alright? Alright, and now we'll just definitely let that dry now until tomorrow. finish up on it. Alright guys, so we're back. And we're going to take our clamps off. And what we want to do is we want to kind of inspect this and look, make sure, you know, there's a little bit of a gap right there. There's a little gap. No big deal, because once we sew that up, that gap won't be there. The next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to need a file, and we're going to need a really sharp knife, because what we're going to want to do is, if this didn't exactly line up just right, what we're going to do is we're going to shave that off, and then we're going to burnish it down. Alright, and we're going to do that to all our edges. So, like I said, we're going to wind up taking this down. We just want to make sure that, you know, everything is nice and even. No big deals. Did a pretty good job with it, I guess. Now what we'll do is we'll take our file. We're going to go over this just to make sure that we get the rest of it. Okay. Take those raised edges off of there. Alright. And do that. Do that as well. Okay, take that off of there as well. Now we're going to burnish them, and now to burnish, we're just going to take a hard object and we're just going to rub the edge pretty much like this. Okay. Looking pretty good. Now what we want to do is we want to decide which side we're going to start with. It doesn't really matter. We're going to take our awl and we're going to start putting some cursory holes where we need them to go. And they don't have to be pounded in right yet. We just want to mark the area. So I'm going to do that now. I like to do these by hand. You know, they have a wheel in which you could do this with, but in case I want to make the stitches a little bigger, you know, I just find it easier to do this. You can use any type of leather dye that you want. Okay, I use combinations. I have Phoebing's leather dye. You know, I'll have Tandy leather dye. It doesn't matter. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dress my edges up. And I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do them in a black. So, just take, you know, one of your daubers, you know, and you're just going to work the edges. That's how I like to do it. Okay, and work your way all around the mask itself. Even if you wind up getting a little bit on the face of it, it's going to be okay, because you're going to wind up going over that anyway. If you think about it, it's better to get the color on the inside than more of the outside while you're doing this, while you're doing the edges, because we want it to look nice, you know. So Sometimes you got to dab it along in there. Okay, so not too bad. We're going to be doing this in a dark brown anyway when we get done. You know, another substitute that you can use on this is you can actually use a black Sharpie marker. And it'll wind up doing the same thing, only I think that actually winds up fading. Alright, so here we have our mask there. There's the front, the bottom, and the sides. So now we're going to have to let that sit and dry for a while.